and welcome to our Flip Video Lesson 2.01, How Long is Long? So just a quick review, we're going to have reading pages 16 to 20 for this lesson, student guide pages 19 to 23. You're going to need to complete your student guide pages, your OMS lesson, and obviously participate in class. About the topic, we're talking about prehistory and history. Our learning objectives for today are to compare prehistory with history in terms of span of time, describe prehistory and history in terms of written records, and identify spans of time between the emergence of hunting-gathering societies and the beginning of agriculture, the beginning of civilization, and the 21st century. Introduction. You are studying history, the story of the human past of change over time. One way to study history is to read a history book. But what if there were no history books? What if people didn't know how to write? There was a time when writing did not exist. Historians call this period prehistory, the time before written records. They use the term history to describe the period for which we do not have written records. And believe it or not, prehistory covers a much longer span than even history does. So prehistory is the period we have written records. Before we have written records is called prehistory. We know the time existed, but we do not have written records of that time. So the time periods are about 2,502 BC to 3,200 BC. So 3,200 BC is about when we start seeing a written record of our historical events. History is the period from which we have written records. Time period 3,200 BC to AD 2021. And some important vocabulary words, obviously prehistory again, the period before written records. History, the period after written records to the present time. Agriculture is just another word for farming, and innovations, just another word for advancements in inventions and technologies. So here you can take a look at your student guide, page 21, and these are dates of history, and remember on a timeline when we're talking about BC, we're talking about BC being kind of like the negative side of a timeline, and then BC is before Christ or BCE, before Common Era, and then the positive part of the timeline would be CE, Common Era, or AD, Anno Domini. So remember that negative timeline is kind of moving from bigger numbers to smaller numbers, because the transition is to get to that 0 mark and then start moving forward with time 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So go ahead and think about these in terms of chronological order. Remember, your bigger number is actually going to be the oldest date, and then the smaller number is going to be the newest date. And go ahead and think about these questions. How much time passed between the development of the first stone tools and the development of agriculture? How much time passed between the end of the last ice age and the development of agriculture? How much time passed between the time when farming began and when cities developed along the Tigris and the Euphrates? And please remember, your reading pages will definitely be helpful for these flip videos. So you can do one of two things. You can do the flip video and then read, or you can read and then do the flip video. My suggestion would be to read first and then work on the flip video, or watch the flip video and fill in your student guide. And then here are the answers. So you can go ahead and pause this recording, and you can go ahead and check with your answers to see if you have them correct. And then this is optional. It's on your student guide, pages 22 to 23. Again, you can go ahead and kind of visualize those times, and you can put those on that timeline. And remember, like I said in the introduction video, you can use fun colored, pens. This student guide is yours. You don't need to turn this back in. So use it as you will. Make it yours, make it fun to look at. And if that is using different colors, using different kind of fonts when you're drawing on there, please make sure that you're doing that. And then on our flip videos, we always have our quote section. The past is a work of art, free of irrelevancies and loose ends. And that was said by Max Beerbohm. And that is from the Harper Book of Quotations, which I will be using quite often this year. Thank you so much for joining me for our flip video lesson. Stay positive, stay fighting, stay brave, stay ambitious, stay focused, and stay strong. What do you do now? Complete your online lessons, finish your required readings, and look over any class notes to prepare for Friday's quiz. Thanks again for joining me. Have an amazing day.